Hello, welcome to the 2025 Nothing About Us Without Us premiere. I'm Dawn McCarty, co-founder of the Nothing About Us Without Us conference, a Thriver Speak event. My life's work is to unseal the truth about psychological abuse that I endured as an abducted child. I combine the survivor's insight with 25 years of cybersecurity expertise to help others dismantle the system of control that tried to break me.
Dr. Alyse Price-Tobler. I'm from Sydney, Australia. I'm the other co-founder to Dawn, and together we created the first international adult child survivor of high conflict divorce, also known as child psychological abuse related to parental alienation, conference for the first time in the whole world. And we brought together a whole bunch of adult child survivors to speak for the first time about their experiences, what it was like for them, and to give a strong message out there to the community about children of high conflict divorce, what their experiences are and what needs to change.
Yes, so we brought together 16 different speakers and authors because we also have a collaborative book that was published, and this book was able to achieve an Amazon #1 bestseller, as well as the recipient of the James Madison Literary Award from the United States Presidential Service Center, which was a huge honor for us to receive that award in 2025.
Yeah. So this year we're going to release the videos out for Mental Health Awareness Day, which is also Child Psychological Abuse Day on October the 10th. So that's coming up this Friday in Australia and next. So the NAUWOU conference basically was created, and it actually stands for Nothing About Us Without Us. And this is a phrase that we use in the mental health and disabilities field for anybody who is a survivor and they want to send a strong message, especially to the researchers. Do not speak about us without us. So nothing about us without us. So if you have conferences, it's very important to have adult child speakers there front and center as well. So as well as the academics, researchers, and whoever else would like to come in, it's very important that at least 50% of the speakers are lived experience speakers. So that's why we created the NAUWOU conference. It's not a phrase that we made up. It's been around for a very long time, and we use it because a lot of the adult children have experiences of child sexual abuse, neglect, physical abuse, and parental alienation. And some of these adult children were also weaponized as children towards their targeted parent, which is classified as spousal abuse. So Nothing About Us Without Us, the NAUWOU conference, that's what we've called it.
Yes, and then we even created our own ribbon, which is over here over my left shoulder. And this ribbon represents children of psychological abuse related to parental alienation and abduction. And this represents not just adult survivors, it represents all survivors of this particular form of abuse, as well as those that we have lost that are no longer with us. So we wanted to make sure that we speak for those that can't speak for themselves, and that's living and no longer with us, so that their voices, their stories can also be represented.
Yeah. And we picked these colours on purpose because they're gender neutral. So we want to include everybody in the LGBTQIA plus community, because there are a lot of different adult survivors who have experienced high conflict divorce. And unfortunately, we have lost quite a lot of people to suicide because of high conflict divorce and being weaponized. So hence the angel wings, but it also represents the children who've been abducted during high conflict divorce and who've been taken to other countries, who've been taken into state where another parent can't actually access them. And it's very hard. It costs a lot of money to go back into court to get a child moved back. So we also speak on behalf of the abducted children, because that's what we call it. If you take a child over state lines or internationally without the other parent's consent, especially if it's not court ordered, and we say that's child abduction front and center. So that's also what the wings are for, children who've been taken in flight.
Yep. And we also believe that abducting a child is a form of abuse. So we want to make sure that on World Mental Health Awareness Day, which is October 10th, we also want that day to be Child Psychological Abuse Awareness Day, so that all forms of this type of abuse is represented and acknowledged throughout the entire world. So that's why we pick October 10th, where a lot of parental alienation activities occur in April. This is a 6-month marker, so it shines a light on this entire area from both the parent side and the child side throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. And 2 of the books that I've written, which are here on my screen, the first, they're at the twin study that I did for my PhD. So the first one is 10 adult child survivors of severe level parental alienation, child psychological abuse and abduction, what treatments that were used with them, what worked, what didn't, and why. And I also captured a lot of their autoimmune diseases and a lot of the difficulties that they have and health problems, etc., in the anomalous data. And then I interviewed 11 of the world's top mental health experts who work specifically with this cohort, and what treatment protocols they use with them, if any, and all of the different modalities that they use, what they felt worked, what didn't, and why. And then I cross-matched them all, and now I'm writing the treatment protocol from all of that data that was collected during the PhD. So we're very serious when we talk about having a conference for the adult child survivors who have been exposed to high conflict divorce. And we want the world to know that it's a very serious topic, and we've been chugging along at this for a number of years now, and we have no intention of stopping.
Exactly. And in fact, we're starting to get other people to come out and share their stories. And they're in all different shapes, sizes, and colors as far as how they're sharing their stories. Some of them are podcasting, some of them are speaking, some of them are writing books. We decided to put on a conference, and we also decided to write the book. So there's 16 authors in the Warning Children Are Not Weapons. This book is all 16 speakers wrote a chapter in this book about their particular type or experience, in their abuse. So each story, you'll if you read the book, you'll find that there's all these different types of experiences. Although we have similar stories, we have different events, and it's not all cookie cutter. It's not exactly the same. Some of the children have experienced child sexual abuse as well as the parental alienation and the child psychological abuse. So there's different forms that some have experienced over others, and some have experienced more violence rather than the child sexual abuse. So it just depends on everybody's circumstances. So you'll see a variety of experiences shared in this book. And the point of the book is to speak to others out there that may have gone through something similar. Out of 16 speakers and authors, we're hoping that one of those stories will resonate with somebody else, and that those people can understand, or those individuals can understand what they had gone through, and then seek the truth and go through a process of their healing journey. So these books are
Yeah.
really important to support not just mental health practitioners or not just adult survivors. It's to show people going forward what we've gone through so that we can help with all those areas.
Mm. And as a mental health practitioner myself, I work all day, every day out in my psychology rooms, and I see adult children coming who are very distressed, come in and do not realize that their children are parental alienation, psychological abuse. And I recently had one come in just this week. So she's been in the mental health unit. She's now coming in to see me. She's been in and out of mental health for years. She had no idea. So this week's been really good for her. She's now able to understand what the trauma is that she's been experiencing. And so we've just got to get the word out. We've got to get more education. And part of the education for the family court system, the mental health practitioners, is to look at the books that we've created from the conference and my twin PhD. So we need to get more psychoeducation out there, because there are adult child survivors presenting in front of professional mental health people and medical people, and they're not being spotted. So this is our way of getting to the grassroots within the communities.
Yes. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to provide all of the videos from the 2024 first ever Nothing About Us Without Us conference that we put on last year during 2 hurricanes. Well, it wasn't during 2, there were 2 back-to-back hurricanes, but they totally affected the ability to put on the conference, and we plowed through it anyway. And the show went on. Thankfully, we had a lot of people to help, but the conference turned out to be an amazing, we had amazing speakers. So we're sharing all of those videos with you this year, opening it up to the public.
Yeah, and luckily during the hurricane, the first one, Helene, was actually at the motel building in Florida that we were supposed to have the conference at, and that building got hit. And then the second one, Milton, Dawn was directly under at the time that the conference started. So we found it out, and we had a lot of amazing speakers with us. We have Martin Mongello, who's been a chef in the White House for 6 presidents. He jumped in with me, and Jeannie, she jumped in, and we had Patty Freudenberg, she jumped in. So we were able to move it around to different people because it was international, and they took over. So thank goodness. And then Dawn came back online once the hurricane moved away from her, that there was nothing on earth that was going to stop us from having that conference. And we're very proud of ourselves.
I tell you,
through that. It was amazing, Dawn.
It is amazing that I was able to say, hey, I need someone to run my conference, please, because I have no power. So it was so good to know that I could give control over the conference over to all of you, and that it still went on. And bar just a few little glitches of just trying to get everything lined up and who was saying what, everything went off really well. So I was there by phone only. That's all I had. I didn't have any electricity, and everybody just pitched in, and we did the best we could under the circumstances. And Marty, he got hit by Helene because it went over the hotel in Tampa, flooded it. So there was nothing going on, but it kept going into North Carolina and flooded, or, there was so much tree damage and wind damage, and his house got hit. So he was in the middle of dealing with trying to come out of the damage done by Helene when I was hit with Milton. So even though his house had been, somewhat affected, well, I don't want to say destroyed, but yeah, and he lives in a museum, the Patriots Museum, because it's for the presidential services that he works with. So he had a hole in his roof and all this stuff, but he was still showed up for us and still made sure that the conference went on. It was challenging, but very rewarding, and I think everybody was proud of that. proud of how it turned out.
Yeah, and we just kept running the schedule, and we had all the speakers from across the world just come in, and we basically stayed up all night and all day and all night and all day and got through 2 days of speakers back to back. So
Well,
it's
Alyse stayed up
incredible.
because it was on America time, and she's in Australia, so she had to give up a lot, and Stan as well. Stan is also
Yeah,
in Australia.
Dr. Stanka Rossi. Yeah, he was amazing too. So we've got some fabulous speakers, and Dr. Rebecca Bailey, she spoke. So we had a few doctors in the mix. We had
Mm,
some adult children who have really brave, really powerful voices stand up, who are used to speaking in public. We had Scott Byrne, who's amazing. If you ever look up his story, he's been interviewed by Oprah, and that's is Scott Berne. So, and just the trauma that he went through with his mother abducting him internationally with his brother, what that was like for him. He spoke at our conference as well. So we've got some heavy hitters in the book and speaking, and for the first time we're going to release it out to the general public. So this is our contribution to the world, trying to get the psychoeducation and the voices up for the
mm.
adult child survivors of high conflict divorce heard, because at the moment it doesn't feel to me like they're being heard, and a lot of it is about the children still, because
Yes,
family court is a $70 billion, $80 billion a year industry. And the aftermath is where that's the light that we're shining on. That's what we study and live and breathe, because Dawn and I are both adult child survivors ourselves. So we have lived experience as well as the jobs that we do. So we're very familiar with this subject. We have an amazing speaker lineup, and we just want to mention a few others who have stepped up and have spoken at our conference. And one of them is Dr. Rebecca Bailey, who is a clinical psychologist, and I find her amazing in the way that she works with children and adolescents and adults who are taken to her, who've been kidnapped and abducted. And one of the people that she's worked with over a long period of time was JC Dugan. And a lot of people know JC. She was kidnapped off the street, held captive out the back of a predator's property for 18 years, and she had 2 children with this predator. So Rebecca Bailey was who she was taken to once she was recovered, with the 2 young ones as well. And the way that she works, just how she has her farm and the chef and the cooking. And she's one of my mentors. And she actually was brave enough to speak about being an adult child survivor, as well as a clinician who specializes in this type of abuse. So she speaks for the first time, and we're very grateful that she was brave enough to do that. And Dr. Stan Carosi, he's also an academic researcher specializing in Australia in parental alienation and the sociological side of it. And he's also a targeted parent and an adult child. So he brings a wealth of information into this space, into our conference as well. So we have him. And then Dawn's just going to tell you a little bit about a couple of other standouts who were in our conference as well.
yeah, we had two that actually stepped up and did a lot of help in the background as far as editing and working with the chapters in the book. So we have Dana Laquadera, and we also have Andrew Folkler, and they were very supportive in helping us get the book published. So it was painstaking to read every single line and other people's trauma. It can be very difficult to have to do that. So I just wanted to make sure we give a really good shout out for those that stepped in and took on that particular role. Dana did such a great job of making sure all the stories were ready to be added into the template for us to be able to get that book up and uploaded to Amazon. And Andrew, always so supportive in everything and anything that we need, and from website design to questions about the book. and working with the book and all of that. And plus he was a speaker too. And Andrew's great because he brings the male perspective, from this world. There's a lot of women that are out there speaking, and we don't have as many men. So it was great to have him joining us, as well as Scott Byrne. And then we did have Marty Mongiello as well from the White House that Alyse spoke about earlier. So we have amazing people that contributed across the board from different walks of life. And then we have Brandy, who joined us as well. Brandy is also a targeted parent who was struggling at the time of giving her speech and facing possible jail time for speaking out. Brandy?
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add before you moved off Brandy that she's a returned veteran as well.
Oh, yes.
So, and she's an adult child, and she's also a targeted parent at the moment. So she's got a lot going on, and we've really appreciated the amount of work that she did. She was even printing off posters and going down to her local community centre and plastering them up and talking to people out in her community. So she's been an amazing support to a lot of the gatherings and conversation. She's dead right up there in the center with us, right the dead middle of everything. So yeah.
So it's a difficult world to be in our shoes, and we just have to navigate it and support each other and just be there for those and show empathy and support. That trauma-informed care really comes through strongly for people that have gone through something such as this. So great people that I am so proud of, that they spoke and wrote their stories in such heartfelt ways. And it's raw. The book has some really strong stories.
And Ginger Gentile, she's another one about to speak. Do you want to speak a little bit about Ginger and Ashlyn and the Erasing Families?
So for those that don't know Ginger, she's the director of the Erasing Family documentary that was released, I believe, in 2020. And that film is something that it was one of her passion projects that she brought to the world, where she interviewed Ashlyn was one of the protagonists, and there was a couple others as well, and showed what it looks like from the child's perspective. It was a really good, well done documentary that she's given to the world to be able to use as a tool. It's not just a documentary to watch, it's a tool to give to others. So if you know somebody that's going through a high conflict divorce, and maybe children are not seen by one of their parents and they don't have that connection or bond, then this film might be something that could help by sharing it. And maybe someone from their age group could share this with other kids at school, where they're not being pressured into watching it and having a particular perspective or narrative. It's freely watched, and then they can kind of connect their own dots. It's to help inspire and open up their minds. It's not necessarily meant to solve a problem overnight. You don't watch a movie and then all of a sudden everything is repaired. It takes these drips and all these different events that we all do collectively as adult survivors out there, who are, like I said earlier, some of them are sharing information on podcasts. Some of them are creating documentary films. Some of them are in the healing industry. Some of them are in mental health. So there's different avenues that we have all taken, and together collectively we are sharing a very strong and powerful, very loud message. There's a reckoning coming with the continued abuse of children going through high conflict divorces and separation.
Yeah, thanks. Well said, Dawn. So one of the other authors in the book that I want to give a shout out to is Rachel. So Rachel wrote a chapter in the book, and Rachel is an Australian Indigenous woman who is also a child of alienation, and she also works in the Australian school system. So she's gone from being a teacher all the way through. She has 2 master's degrees. She's a special needs worker. She's been on the coalface front line with me, actually, sometimes in some of the schools, and she's seen everything. She specialises in working with Indigenous children, and she said that the parental alienation going on in that space is something we need a lot more research in, and she wrote about that and her story in our book, Warning Children Are Not Weapons. So Rachel Roberts is her name, and she is very brave to speak up, and so I just want to give a shout out to Rach.
Yeah, and another author that we had too was Dr. Marnie. She was able to share some of her unique work. So she has a unique chapter in the book that she uses the words parental alienation with. And then we also had Shasheen, and she's someone from Canada and also got to share her story of her own abduction as well. We have very similar stories. We were both abducted at the age of 4, and so she's seen different sides of this as well. So you can see we all come from different experiences. Sometimes adult survivors end up becoming targeted parents. So it's because the trauma continues, and this is why we're all speaking out. So hopefully someday we can prevent it from happening to begin with. We also had a mother and son. They contributed a chapter to our book as well, and very powerful stories. And then we had Dr. Childress was a speaker, and also Jeff, who is an ally. So Dr. Childress and Jeff were both allies that were able to speak or be at the conference and write a chapter. Alyse, do you want to talk about what Dr. Childress brought to the conference?
Yes, so Dr. Craig Childress is an ally for the adult child survivors of parental alienation, pathogenic parenting, he calls it, child psychological abuse, and has designed a new method that he wants brought into the family court system, where there is, as soon as a child is flagged as being scared of a parent, then an assessment and a diagnosis needs to be looked at for that child, and nothing needs to be moving forward before that's done, because at the moment that's not being done. And a lot of children who are experiencing child psychological abuse and are also being weaponed in spousal abuse and being used as weapons against their targeted parent, the one that they're being poisoned against. That's another form of abuse. So Dr. Childress is very firm in that space. He has models that he's provided for free out into the community, teaching people how to do this in court, what to look for. He has private consultation as well, teaching clinicians how to do this work, how to notice this work, and to move through it, because at the moment it's not being done. So if you want to know more, go over to his website. There's a lot on YouTube as well. Sunday Coffee with Dr. Childress. He explains it in depth. He speaks to lawyers, magistrates, targeted parents, adult children. He speaks to everybody, and the assessment and diagnosis is very, very important. And he comes from a clinical psychologist's perspective. He's worked in clinical psychology for ever, and a lot of hospitals and mental health places, mental health units. So yeah, he specializes in children too. So have a listen to what he's got to say, because it's very interesting, his point of view. And yeah, so he spoke at our conference as well.
And the thing I appreciate about his point of view is I feel like he sees me, and I can identify with the way he describes how I feel and what I experienced. So I think he is spot on that aspect, on that front. So we were so grateful and just really happy that he was able to join us for that.
And I also want to add that we put this conference together with no funding and no sponsorship.
Oh, yeah.
Because even though we sent out letters to a lot of people, a lot of emails telling them that we were putting together the world's first ever conference for adult child survivors of child psychological abuse related to parental alienation, nobody came forward to support us. So, and one sponsor did, but then they took the money back. So we basically proved you can actually run a whole conference internationally with the right people who are willing to donate their time for free, and nobody in our conference who spoke was all paid either. So everybody whose videos you're about to see donated all of their time, all of their information, all of their experiences in a concerted effort to get more psychoeducation out there into the general public. So yeah,
And
we did it for
additionally,
free.
Yeah, did it for free. And if you watch the videos, so you have there's a certain amount of videos and the Erasing Family documentary, you can receive up to 15 CLEs or CEUs for watching the entire thing. So we hope that you enjoy them this year, now that they're available for free for everybody out there. And yeah, you can still claim them as continuing education units or CLEs.
Dawn donated thousands of her hours for, I think it was at least...
It was probably the better part of 9 months. And yeah, I was at it every day. So I work a full-time job, and putting on this conference in the book was my second full-time job. So I literally worked full-time, 2 different jobs to get this done. So I spent a lot of my time, and basically I slept during the other 8 hours. So that was it.
Yeah,
consumed
amazing.
a lot of time, but it was worth it in the end. And then I had no energy left afterwards. When it was done, I was like a zombie.
You were done. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and there was a big cleanup from the hurricanes was still going on. So
for real,
we really hope that you get a lot out of these videos. But we'll stop talking now and let you go watch them.
A lot of love and passion in them. So enjoy them.
Yes. So yeah, on that note,
we'll let you get to
if you'd
it.
like to order the books, this QR code in the corner is for the Warning Children Are Not Weapons book. So you can get all our books on Amazon, and we'll be releasing up to YouTube. So you can watch the videos, share the videos. They're under both Dawn and my name. So,
and please let us know what your feedback is. And I hope you enjoy watching everything that we put our hearts into.
Yeah, and welcome to the world premiere. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.